Good morning. It is day 8 of the event window here at the J-Bay Open. Today on Dawn Patrol, we learn all about the Waves to Change program positively impacting young lives here in South Africa through surfing. We'll also look at the resurgence of Filipe Toledo and break down his innovative approach. Plus, we'll find out if the quarterfinals will get back underway. Great to have your company for Dawn Patrol. Another beautiful day here at Jeffreys Bay on the Eastern Cape of South Africa. Ronnie Blakey here, joined by a couple of my favourite surfers. Rosie Hodge, what was it, 9 national titles here in South Africa, Rosie?
Yeah,
maybe 10, maybe 11. She stopped counting. She stopped counting. Great to have you on the show, Rosie. And we've also got Ross Williams, who, despite having some great history with this place, a final back in the day against Parko. Ross, also some pretty interesting memories. Hucking yourself off the highest bungee in the world last year. Are you going back in 2016?
Are you keen?
I'll take it on.
Let's go. Let's do it.
It is one of the freakiest things ever, isn't it?
Rosie did it backwards. I think that's the next level.
I tried to do it backwards and then I was holding onto the rope. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things. You can tick it off the bucket list if you jumped off the Bloedkrans Bridge.
Yeah, Definitely, I've done it twice and I want to try and do it again. But right now we're all, of course, waiting to see if we're going to get these quarterfinals back underway. Let's get the call in a moment. We've got Pete Mell on standby. He's been chatting to the Deputy Commissioner, Renato Hickel, and we'll find out shortly whether we're going to get those heats underway. An amazing lineup of heats that we do have. We're going to be focusing on Filipe Toledo today, Ross. He is a surfer that you've definitely highlighted as a potential threat for the win here.
Well, I think, out of the entire tour, he might be the least contrived surfer. And, a lot of guys, you can't blame them. They're competing. They're trying to win. They're playing the game. They, as a default, can surf for scores. I can't recall Filipe ever doing that. He's just over-the-top aggressive, and that's why we love watching him.
Really instinctual, isn't he? He just always attacks the section and doesn't seem to hold back at all. Let's find out if some of those amazing quarterfinal matchups are going to get underway today. We'll check in with Pete Mell.
Yeah, thanks, Ronnie. So here was Renato Hickel, and looking at the ocean conditions, looks a little bit flat. Are we going to get any heats underway?
Well, we actually saw a little bit of improvement in the swell size this morning, but we already had that misty, hazy feeling, and it's forecasted onshore winds, strong actually this morning. So we're going to call the competition off for the day today, and we're going to reassess tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. again.
Anything in the forecast looks pleasing to you?
I think even though we're going to check tomorrow, looks like the best 2 days will be Friday and Saturday. We're either going to run these heats Friday afternoon or Saturday morning. Fingers crossed.
Okay, fingers crossed. No heats today, guys.
Rosie, you're a local. You keep an eye on the forecast. What are you seeing?
Well, I see, we do get that bump on the weekend, which I like, but like tomorrow, that northwesterly wind, that devil wind that can go up the face, that can prove tricky. Even though there are waves in the water, it's still got that kind of lump, and it just really doesn't make the surfing that much fun out there. But the weekend, like we mentioned, looks positive. All
right, well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for some positive changes there. But Ross, you're going to step out in a moment, but you'll be back to break down some of Filipe's surfing a little later on. Looking forward to that.
Ready.
Bring it on. After the break, stay with us. We're going to meet Tim Connerbear, the man behind Waves to Change.
You got soul, you got power, baby. Life is love, love is soul, and soul is power. Soul, power, soul, power, baby.
Welcome back to the show. We've got a very special guest joining us this morning. We had him on last year, and the good work continues for Waves for Change. Tim Conabear, great to have you on the show.
Cool, thanks for having me again.
For those of the audience that missed it last year, just give us a little bit of a rundown on what Waves for Change is.
So Waves for Change is a surf therapy program organisation. We work in Cape Town, and we work with kids who are having emotional problems. So yeah, it started in 2012. It's quite small. It was me and a couple of guys, and it's grown to, we reach about 400 kids, parents and teachers at the moment.
Wow.
And we train coaches and they work with the kids.
Awesome. And you talk about those challenges that the kids are facing, the traumas that they have at home. What are some of those, and how can this program kind of overcome them?
South Africa is a unique country. There's a lot of people living in difficult circumstances. Most of the big cities have townships, so kids growing up in small shacks, not a lot of money, a lot of kind of violence in the community, a lot of alcohol and drug abuse in the home. So our big goal is to connect them to caring adults. Surfing's really therapeutic in itself. It gives them something to really hold on to, and then the emotional care that we give them is the kind of the transformative element.
Amazing. And we saw a great show in Australia just last night played. We have a snippet of that piece for you. Check it out.
Being in the water, it makes me feel free.
The fact that an NGO has taken on surfing as a means of doing social change and social transformation for black youth is an indication of how far surfing has actually come.
A lot of these kids live in tiny one-room shacks in the township. So coming out here to the surf is one of the few chances they get to be alone, to have some personal space.
If you've got stress, the water can make you feel better. Catching wave, it gives you something strong.
Make sure you check out that piece in full, a really good breakdown of what Waves for Change is about and some really positive stories. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, Tim, is we know the positive effect it can have on the kids, but it must be such a rush when for the first time you're taking someone out of the townships into the water and seeing them ride their first wave. That must be just the most rewarding feeling in the world.
Oh, it's huge. I think, for me personally, the most rewarding part is that surfing's never existed in townships. So for us to bring the sport in there, we need to train people in the community to run it. So you'll see on Freedom Riders, you've got the coaches that we train just totally transforming the way townships work. And that for me, when you see a combi full of kids and 3 or 4 locally trained coaches from a place that surfing never existed, it's insane. It's just it's mind-blowing. It's awesome.
And you talk about that transformation. Just tell us some of the stories of the kids that you guys have helped and where they're at the moment.
I suppose, all of our main outcomes are kind of mental health based. So we've got kids who have been exposed to major drug abuse issues, lots of violence, post-traumatic stress. There was this one kid called Wandile who was really struggling, 16 years old, couldn't sleep, couldn't concentrate at school, getting kicked out in a gang, couldn't swim. And his story is that he saw a bunch of his friends going to the beach, so he just followed them down. He was interested, and he got involved in the program. He learned how to meditate and calm himself down, learned to swim. Qualified as a lifeguard, and then he lives in Kailicha, which is way outside of Cape Town. He got taken on board as a lifeguard in Camps Bay, which is the centre, the main centre focus point of Cape Town tourist industry. Wow. So he left his community, became a lifeguard, earned money for his family, put his sister through school. It's amazing.
There's a lot of obviously obstacles for these kids, but one of the shocking things for me was just some of the trauma that they experience in their lifetime. How does it compare to, say, someone not living in the townships?
It's difficult. I think, we're all human beings, so the way we respond to trauma is very similar. It's just the amount of trauma we face. So we've done some studies with the universities here, and kids in the townships, they face between 8 to 15 really heavy traumatic events a year. Somebody who's not living in the township, from the US, the UK, it's like 4 in a lifetime. So you have this constant exposure to stress, and it like compounds it, and it's really difficult for the young people to cope with it.
And where can we learn more about Waves for Change?
Jump on our Facebook page. Like, we're always putting media and stuff on there. We're also working with different surf organizations around the world at the moment. So we have a curriculum, which is basically just a load of exercises that if you're running a surf program and you want to structure it, you can just use it, and that's open source. So if you jump on our website, you can drop us an email and we can send you that.
Who are some of the surfers on the WSL Championship Tour that have been involved with Waves for Change?
Mikey February, he's kind of coming up at the moment. Definitely check him out. He's one of South Africa's real big hopes. Mick Fanning, we met with yesterday. He's awesome. He's like really kind of caring human being. So he's been kind of checking us out and talking to us. Rosie has been kind of seeing us and
yeah,
and
I'd love
helping
to
out.
help. Yeah.
We've had a really positive kind of buy-in, and Colin Fitch, who's kind of the head of WSL Africa, he's just been such an awesome kind of ambassador for us. So we're really kind of grateful and kind of appreciative of all the support from the organisation.
Beautiful. Well, we love Waves for Change, and we wish you all the best for the future. I'm sure we'll be catching up again next year. And for everyone out there, make sure you do get on the website and get behind this great organisation. After the break, I'm going to join Ross Williams. We're going to break down the innovative approach of Filipe Toledo.
Soul, you got power, baby. Life is love, love is soul, and soul is power. Soul, power, soul, power, baby.
All right.
Well, one of the most spectacular lineups we've ever seen in the quarterfinals here at the J-Bay Open. One person that we haven't focused on too much is the current world number 17, Filipe Toledo. Filipe is one of just a couple of surfers in the draw that seems to be able to turn offshore winds into his favour. He doesn't necessarily need an onshore to get to the air, and we're going to have a look at that now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And not only does Filipe not care if it's windy, but also if it's a crazy section. So if it's cupped out and kind of handcuffed, he still gets it done. So we're going to go through here, and this is actually, I believe, a maneuver before he does the air. And we're going to move the motion forward here. And you can see Filipe right now, he is going extremely fast. So that's what makes this wave impressive, is the variety. You know, he got a lot done here. And stop it right here for me. What's cool is you can see the counter balance going on here. He's got that back hand dragging through the water. He's got the front arm kind of counterbalancing him so that he can get that crazy speed torque to wrap his board around. So you can see, even though you're going fast, a lot of surfers kind of stay over their deck of the board and keep their weight centered. But you can also get extended away from your board if you pull something like this off.
Awesome. I love this little ode to Tom Curran as he comes out of this turn. We know Curran's famous first ever ride here. Just watch him look towards the beach on the bottom turn before this next move. It's really cool.
And always keep an eye as well on Filipe's head. He's concentrating down the line. J-Bay is such a long wave. There's that crispy snap. You can see again he's focusing down the line. He wants to put together a great routine and optimize every single maneuver. Another whippy snap here for Filipe. A little bit more of that example of that counterbalance there to extend away from his surfboard. But when he gets to the next section here, Ronnie, the wave is almost going to barrel. And it's cool if it was in the 1980s, some guys would just tuck in and try and go for a barrel. But this is the way surfing is now. He's going to be as aggressive as possible. So let's pause it just for a second. Now, here's what makes this move so crazy, is take a look at the wave. I mean, it's actually barreling. So you can see the transition in a wave is extremely cupped out. Now, typically, when you're looking for an error, if I'm going to go for an error, I want the perfect section where it's nice and cushiony. It's got a little section coming at me so I can hit the ramp and have a convenient landing for the error. But for Filipe, he can get it done anywhere. And so when you have this much transition, it cramps your style. You get handcuffed, and so physically you have to do a lot to get it done.
It's amazing, and this is a good example of doing that aerial move in offshore conditions, because Filipe's got that working against him as well at this point.
Yeah, so okay, let's move through a little bit. We're going to try and really compartmentalize this air for you. And as soon as he gets up to the ramp, we're going to stop it again. And go ahead and stop it for us. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. This is really, really fun. So again, the wind is offshore. And so there's all this wind that's going to potentially blow the surfboard away from your feet. So Filipe is going to grab that rail with his hand. It's not only to keep the board attached to him, but to get that rotation, to get the tail hucking towards the beach, to get that reverse in. That's a much more of a technical air rather than just a kind of a standard frontside air. So he's going to grab his rail. The other thing that's going to happen is, because there's so much transition in the wave, it's a really tight amount of room to work with. Definitely keep an eye on Filipe's nose of his board. He's going to pick that nose to use the rocker of the surfboard so that he can cushion that landing. Take a look at Filipe's foot. Okay, stop it for me. So you can see that monster sticker right there. So this is where Filipe's foot is. As he goes through the air, he's got so much momentum. And again, we talked about the rocker of the board and the nose, how he's going to use that to cushion his air. He's also going to shuffle that foot a good 18 inches above that sticker to kind of cushion that landing and soften the blow.
He's going to put it all the way up to the sticker at the front, the sponsor sticker. It's a huge, huge stance that he opens up. What's that create?
Well, it gives him stability, and it also helps him physically handle the finish. So look at how he bowed his knees out. So he's trying to be as stable as possible, and also because he's got that height, it kind of creates a spring, and it coils up so that when he does land in the flats, again, he's not landing in this nice sugar-coated landing over here that typically you'd like to do in the air. He's landing in the flats. So there's going to be so much pressure when he lands that he needs to create that spring to be able to kind of cushion it as he lands down, and then of course he's going to pick the nose and use the rocker of the board.
It's pretty cool at that point too. He has turned his board enough, got inverted enough that he is now facing into the offshore wind. So that board's sticking to his feet nicely and right where he wants to be at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, so he got so much momentum moving around, so he's got that rotation. That's the air reverse. And that's why these guys like to do that move, because it's a momentum thing where you're naturally kind of revolving around.
You mentioned just the flats and how difficult it is to land, a lot of impact if you get out in front of a wave like this. What's Filipe do to combat the impact of that landing?
Well, again, he's got his knees bowed out, and so he's going to use his knees. They're going to compress down, and then he's going to pick the nose of the surfboard. And once you pick that nose, instead of landing flat, you're matching flat with flat, and it's just really tough to handle all that pressure. But if you use the nose first and kind of gently glide it down, then you can pick it, and that's why you can handle that pressure of landing in a big air like that. Well, let's move forward and see it.
We're going to see that nose go into the face of the wave. So he finds a little bit of transition, taking the impact out of that landing, Ross. One of the things that blows my mind out is just the control, because once those fins engage in the water, that board is going to want to spin so fast.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And keep in mind, again, I can't explain enough of how critical this move is, because that wave is like this. It is so cupped out. So now he's accomplished picking a nose, he's going to try and use the rocker. He actually has to worry about the tail of his board poking and purling and then falling off backwards. So that's why he has to really remain with so much neutral balance and weight over the deck of his board. We'll go ahead and move it through.
Here's where those fins grab.
See his body, how much it compressed down. So that just shows you how high he got and all the force that he had to once he landed that air.
The aerialists, the best aerialists, Filipe, John, Julian, they all wax their boards to the nose so they can effectively use that space. And you can see there, Filipe, he's not slipping forward. He's got plenty of traction there under his front foot.
You know what's crazy is, let's rewind it and watch the whole thing in real motion. I won't touch it and we'll just go through it. There's only a few guys on tour that can do this. There really is. Everyone can go big, but what I love about Filipe is he hucks himself. He's so aggressive.
He really is. And you're right, only a few guys, and probably only 2 surfers in an offshore wind that can execute that exact move. I'd say John Florence and Filipe have that as an ace up their sleeve if the wind is howling offshore on finals day.
Yeah, so and it was the right size too, wasn't it? You know, it was a head-high wave. Once the waves get double overhead, you know, you're gonna get too much projection. You're gonna fly out into the flats. Then that's when airs get really sketchy. But J-Bay so far in this event has been Filipe land.
He is going to go up against Mick Fanning in the 4th quarterfinal. Filipe Toledo is going to be hard to stop.
Let's get with it, y'all. Oh, yeah. Everybody got soul. Strutting long and strutting strong. Yeah, that's it. Oh, let's get with it. Let's get this thing together. Feel the power.
If you got soul, you got power, baby. Life is love, love is soul, and soul is power. Soul, power, soul, power, baby.
All right. Woo.
Welcome back. It was great fun breaking down Filipe Toledo's approach, and now we're going to have a bit of a chat about his chances coming up against Mick Fanning. The generational shift is just going to be so on display when that 4th quarterfinal hits the lineup. These young guns, they've been ruling at the top end of the ratings, Ross, in 2016, but Mick's been on fire. It's going to be a tough heat for both competitors.
Yeah, I think for Mick Fanning, you know, he's good in small, medium, big waves. He's so well-rounded. He's proven to not have any really weak spots. That being said, you know, Filipe, he brings it to a whole nother level. He kind of shows everyone what's possible, especially when it's what we've been seeing so far at this kind of waves at J-Bay. Head high, rippable, almost feels more like lowers than it does J-Bay. You could say that Filipe is the favorite coming in, especially with this forecast.
Rosie, one of the interesting things about breaking down that ride of Filipe is that it kind of made me reflect on all the excellent scores we've seen during this event, and we have seen some individual moves score higher, but I don't think we've seen a better combination of turns and airs than that wave from Filipe.
Totally, and just the heat that he had the other day with Wiggly Dantes, you know, he came in from that and he's like, I'm not going to play into that, you know, the strategy of other surfers. I want to play my own game. He's not afraid to really just flat out go for it on the bricks. I mean, he came in, his wetsuit was torn to shreds. He definitely did some damage with his fins trying to go for some of those maneuvers, but he's got that eye on the prize.
He's trying to fight his way, Ross, back into a really good position. Had such an amazing run last year, 3 event wins, finished 4th overall, but this year the injury at the start of the season stalled him, and it looked like he was on his way to victory again on the Gold Coast.
It did, and you know, so for an event like for Filipe on the Gold Coast, he's the guy to beat. And so it really was a bummer for everyone, all his fans, to see him get injured like that, because he could have been right there battling for the world title again, just like he did last year. And I think for Filipe, and you think about the entire Brazilian Storm and what it's done for surfing, you think back to, you know, the first handful of Brazilians that are on tour, the Renan Rochas, the Flavios and Tecos, and how much it's grown, and now it's just you got guys like Filipe, who is Brazilian Storm 2.0. He's just so aggressive. He doesn't feel like he's ever looking for a score. He's just looking at the most crazy move he can do on a wave. So he's got the best of both worlds. Same with Gabriel Medina, where it looks like he's gonna put together a highlight reel for free surfing.
And one of the real positives for Filipe is the judges are paying such close attention to that technical aspect of those aerials these days. Chatting with Patamo Ardrent, one of the judges here at this event, they're really picking up on some of those really technical grabs these days, and that's going to work in his favour big time.
Yeah, totally, but also the rail work that he's doing, much like Frankie Oberholzer, really able to hold that rail. He also said he's working on his power surfing, so well-rounded surfing from Filipe.
I love that mention. Frankie, one of the best South African surfers of all time. Of course, we're not going to see heats out there in the lineup today, unfortunately, hoping for the swell to increase. Tune in tomorrow morning for Dawn Patrol, and we'll have another call for you.
This copyrighted event broadcast is produced by the World Surf League for broadcast around the world and may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the written consent of the World Surf League.